Well, hello there. Kelly Baxter-Fitzgerald here with Snips by Kelly, and I'm excited to pop on today and talk about 5 different projects and 5 different elevation ideas of each of those projects. So I should have started off by saying Happy National Scrapbooking Month. May is National Scrapbooking Month, and we celebrate paper crafters and scrapbookers and memory keepers all over the world in the month of May. And we take this very seriously. We have lots of amazing offerings in May and lots of opportunities to get together with fellow paper crafters. So my Snips by Kelly paper crafters often put me up to challenges that I get myself into, and then later I think, what was I thinking? But when it came down to the National Scrapbooking Day celebration, close to my heart had an offering of 5 different projects, 3 card workshops and 2 scrapbooking workshops that you could choose. You could do 1, you could do 2, you could do 3, you could do 4, or you could do all 5. And of course, in close to my heart fashion, there was a huge discount to do all 5. And these 5 projects are still available through May 31st. But Close to My Heart had a big shindig on the Close to My Heart Facebook official page and did all of the teaching for all 5 projects with their amazing instructors. And this is free, and this is available on replay. You can pop over to the Close to My Heart official Facebook page and find the videos on any of these projects. But my Snips by Kelly paper crafters wanted me to do each project and then come up with elevation ideas for each project, or ideas and guides to use up the extra, because we all want more bang for our buck, right? They wanted to do the projects, or all 5 projects, and use up every single scrap. So that was what I was challenged with, and I'm going to tell you, I had a blast. So I'm going to quickly go over each of the 5 projects and show you what I created to elevate each of those projects, or what additional layouts or things I made with the leftovers, and show you what I did. So we have a lot of fun in our Snips by Kelly paper crafting group on Facebook, and if you do not have a Close to My Heart maker and you want to join in the fun, check me out. Snips by Kelly is the name of my group on Facebook, and I would love to have you. All right, I'm going to start out with many wishes. Many wishes. I'm sure if you follow Close to My Heart at all, you have seen tons of inspiration with this. This is a distress oxide ink technique where we were given, in the Many Wishes kit, we were given an overlay, a leaf overlay and a flower overlay, and we were taught distress oxide techniques. So our instructor, which was Jill Broadbent, taught us one of each card style, but there was enough materials in the card kit, or is, should I say, because it's still available, to create 16 cards. So you could reduplicate these with the materials that were in your kit. So what I did then, and what I do often, is I take the main workshop that was created by Close to My Heart and have my customers learn that technique, because that's so valuable. So my customers learned each of the 4 techniques from Jill, because she is the master teacher. Then I created an elevation guide and showed them 3 different ways with each card to elevate each card and make 16 different cards, okay, instead of 16 for each of 4 designs. So what I did is I created an elevation envelope for the very last step that we'll be talking about, that just contains enough Cricut cuts to create 16 cards of that style. A lot of times what I like to do is as a reward for my Snips by Kelly paper crafters, is to add a little elevation envelope that fits in a regular envelope that does not cost any more shipping than a regular postage stamp, but it really can help elevate some of their projects. So I'm going to show you quickly what I did so that we have time to get through all of the other projects. So I took the original design, So this is one design, one card in the 16 card set. And so Jill taught us how to create this gorgeous card. She taught us inking techniques with Distress Oxide, which I was a little bit of a naysayer because I can't ink very well, and I don't have a lot of skills, and I haven't used Distress Oxides, but look, she made me look amazing. So it was so easy and actually relatively quick. And this is really a one level card aside from the sentiment here. It is just inked on the base. So what I did for the first elevation is I had my paper crafters make this main flower, but only on a scrap of white, and fussy cut it out. We made all of the original card exactly the same as the original. We made the second card is exactly the same as the original. The only difference is stamping this and distressing the ink and on a separate piece of paper, fussy cutting it out so you can add dimension and pop that up with foam tape. So you can see the only difference is that added dimension. Then on the next elevation, I did it identical to the second card. I just trimmed it down a little bit in terms of putting the base on an inner piece. So I created a 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch black edge, a base, and then I cut down a white daisy piece that was 4 by 5 1/4 and created this base on the white daisy piece so that there could be that added base around. Everything else is identical. Just adding that pop of black around the edge was the third elevation. The fourth elevation, which is why we needed the elevation envelope, is I simply added little cricket pieces, little black cricket pieces to add to that card. So each of the 4 steps is just one step up. So on the base, popped up and fussy cut, popped up, fussy cut with a black edge, popped up, fussy cut, black edge, and cricket pieces. So each of those just goes up by one step. So my paper crafters could decide which one they love the best and duplicate whichever one they like the best. So they could do nothing, which is gorgeous. They could do some fussy cutting, which is gorgeous. They can add an edge, which is gorgeous, and they can add some cricket cuts, which is gorgeous. So it all depends on what they would like. And I put 16 cards worth in this if they wanted to create them all that way. Now that you know the base of what I did for the Many Wishes workshop, I don't have to talk as much about it because I did the exact same thing for each of the 3 remaining cards. Flat on the base, fussy cut and popped, fussy cut and popped with a black edge, fussy cut and popped with a black edge, and cricket cuts. One level up for each card, okay? Same thing on the third card. So we had this way right here. So we had flat on the base, fussy cut and popped with a black edge, fussy cut and popped with a black edge, and cricket cuts added. I think it is just amazing and gorgeous at all levels, okay? And the very last one, same thing for levels, okay? Am I missing a couple cards here? Where did they go? Hold on. This is interesting. They must have fallen on the floor. Nothing like live video. Here we go. All right, so here we go. Same 4 levels. Flat, fussy cut and popped with a black edge, fussy cut and popped with a black edge, and cricket cut. So you decide. Those are the elevations for the Many Wishes card kit. And I must say, as somebody who does not do much inking or stamping in terms of cards, I am blown away and impressed with all that they taught us in that card class. You should check it out on the Facebook official page. So what I created for those people that purchased that workshop from me is my elevation guide and my elevation envelope. Okay, let's move on. The next workshop was called Good Vibes. Good Vibes was a scrapbooking workshop that I love, love, love. It had a retro feel to it, and I love the patterns in it. Now, I am not... I've only been a Close to My Heart maker for 6 years. So many people who have been in Close to My Heart over the years are used to the signature flip flaps, but I did not have a lot of experience with the flip flaps. And so these are 6x12 flip flaps that in the original workshop, Close to My Heart's original workshop, Good Vibes, they teach you how to use and attach and decorate the flip flaps to extend your pages. So this flip flap allowed for 1, 2, 3, 4 additional photo opportunities on just this single page. And I love the retro feel. It's absolutely darling. And then you have the second companion page that goes with it. And so the only differences that I did on this original layout is I did a little bit of different things with the photo mats. That's the only thing, because I thought it was adorable just the way it is. And don't you just love this scooter? So you created this flip flap layout and then a second flip flap layout in the original workshop. Isn't that darling? The clustering. And of course they do this with you on the Facebook official page, and they teach you how to do everything, including the 6x12 flip flaps. So again, on the second layout, you can see 1, 2, 3 great photo opportunities added to that workshop. So that was the original 2 layouts that came in the Good Vibes workshop. So for my elevations of Good Vibes, I created a bonus layout and a bonus guide and 2 bonus cards using just the scraps that are left over when you create the original Close to My Heart workshop. So I took this, created the original workshop, saved the scraps, took the scraps, and created this additional guide to go with it. So here, when I looked at the scraps, it felt like there was literally nothing left. But look at all of this. There was plenty left. Whoops, I think I have these backwards. Plenty of stickers on the sticker sheets left. So I used a traditional go-to layout that I use a lot when all I have left is a few random strips of colors. So creating the strips, doing some tearing across the top and the bottom, and keeping with that sort of retro vibe, using up some stickers on the sticker sheet in clusters, and this cute little Polaroid sticker that was left over on the sticker sheet that you could add a photo behind it, or you could add a journaling square behind it. There were plenty of wooden shapes left over. There was longer stickers that I could tear and make them look like washi tape, and plenty to make this adorable bonus layout. Now, when I got done using the leftovers on this bonus layout, I had just a couple handfuls of tiny little scraps left. So I added a couple card bases and made just a simple, easy go-to banner card using all those leftover scraps in random sizes, making them into dovetailed banners. There were 2 little ladybug stickers left over, and I literally used every single sticker on the sticker sheet, and it was all gone. There was nothing left that I had to use up, and that was the elevations for Good Vibes. So my customers that purchased Good Vibes got my instruction guide in how to use up their leftovers and use up every single scrap in that workshop. And now, moving along to the next workshop in the 5-set series, we have a toast to you. This one was for those people that love puns. And this one I did do an elevation guide and an elevation envelope that have some little added Cricut cuts. Again, you're going to see a pattern that the elevation envelopes are so small that they fit into a regular sized envelope with a postage stamp. I love to do that because I love sending the happy mail, but I don't like to break the bank with postage. So here is what I did here. I took each of the cards and just did tiny elevations. So this card I created it identical to the corporate card. I just added that little star in the back, making it pop a little bit more. This card I did change quite a bit. I should open this up and show you the original. So here is the original where the stamping is done directly on colored cardstock. So what I opted to do is stamp the churros on white daisy cardstock and color it and add that little cactus in between. I hope you're okay. Super cute. Of course, I love puns, so I have a very dry sense of humor. So here is the original taco card, taco about awesome. So the only change I made on this entire card was the little tiny cactus behind the taco and popping the taco up by stamping him on a separate piece of paper and giving him a little bit of dimension. Taco about awesome. All right, the next card elevation, hey cutie pie. The only elevation that I made to this, sometimes they're just so cute, they just need one little added extra. I added a scalloped circle and a white circle so that the pie would pop up and it would stand out a little bit more instead of popping the or stamping the pie directly onto the card. I just added that little scallop shape so that it would pop just a little bit. The next one was called A Toast to You, and I just made a couple small changes to this one. Let me see, here it is. I flipped the banner piece. So this was a cork piece, and I felt like it popped a little bit more by flipping it over to the black side. And then I added the little champagne flute just to be funny on each of those cards to elevate that just a bit. So here is the original, and here is the change up. Very tiny changes. And the next one, I think is a miso bowl. And here it is. So here is the next one. You make me so happy. I don't know if I say that right. So here is this one, and how I changed this one up. Instead of stamping directly onto the card base, I of course stamped it off on white and fussy cut it out and did the coloring and put it on a little Cricut label, a double label here, just to make that pop a little bit more and stand out just a little bit more. Tiny changes that you'll be noticing here, that just make a little bit of elevation. Again, every pizza me loves every pizza you. So I added a scallop circle again, popped up the pizza, and split up the sentiment so that it was split between the top and the bottom. So you can see it just makes it pop just a little bit. Again, tiny changes that make all the difference in the world. And the last one, you mean the world to me. Only one change here on this one. I added a scalloped square around the sentiment piece just to make that pop just a little bit. So the elevation guide and the elevation envelope for a Toast for You card workshop. Totally cute and punny. All right, we are cruising right along. That was project number 3. And all of these projects, again, are still available till May 31st separately or in a discounted bundle, significantly discounted bundle. So we have 2 to go. I believe I said 3 card workshops, but one was a mini album, and I actually did a separate video on this one, so I'm going to go really quickly through this one. This was a Little Penguins mini album, Darling, and I did an elevation video on this already. Of course, it includes an elevation envelope with pieces, just a few black Cricut pieces that I added throughout, and I also used the leftovers in it to make some photo mats and used some of the leftover cardstock to elevate it. I added black behind, added a Cricut arrow, added some extra banners and some stamping, added a raspberry photo mat. All of these things that I added were just out of leftovers. Popped up the penguin instead of putting him directly on the page, added extra Cricut elements, and on all of them I basically did the same thing, adding Cricut elements, adding dimension by popping, adding extra Cricut elements, adding some extra strips. Just throughout the entire thing, you will see the addition of the Cricut elements instead of stamping directly on the page, popping the gifts up, popping the penguins up, adding the Cricut elements, adding some extra tags, adding Cricut tags and Cricut heart, adding a few extra banners and a few little extra Cricut pieces on each page, adding Cricut pieces and some markering, adding some, again, extra Cricut pieces here. I believe on this one I added a couple extra paper strips and added some gel pen technique that we were already using, but I used it on some added Cricut cuts, did some backing of some Cricut cuts there, added some Cricut arrows, rearranged a little bit and added some extra Cricut elements on this one, a couple little Cricut elements there, adding some extra stamping, popping up some penguins and adding extra penguins, again adding an extra leftover piece of black, adding that Cricut arrow, and just adding those little elevations made all of the difference in the world. So again, you receive the little penguins mini album elevation guide, whoops, and the little penguins mini elevation envelope. And that was fun. So much difference that just little black accents can make. And you can check out my video on the little penguins in more detail, but of course I'm always trying to keep my time down on these videos, but we are at the last project. The last project ended up being one of my favorite projects. I really actually love them all, but the last project is called Circles and Patterns. So I created an elevation guide and an additional bonus layout and an elevation envelope, again, the size that can fit into a regular envelope. All right, so what I loved about the Circles and Patterns Scrapbooking Workshop is this exclusive thin cut set. So it makes these amazing circle patterns that gives you circles in quarters, circles in halves, whole circles, and circles in diamonds. And I had a lot of fun with that. And in addition to these exclusive thin cuts, you get these pattern stamps. And you can use these pattern stamps directly on backgrounds or on those circle pieces to create interesting patterns on circles. I really, really loved it. And I loved putting this together and getting the instruction on the original workshop from close to my heart. So let's take a look at the original layouts. There was acrylic shapes that, whoops, I've got a different layout in there. I don't know what that's doing in there. There was beautiful layouts here that were originally created in the original workshop. So here is the first one, and it might look quite simple, but we were taught wonderful techniques on how to create our own patterns on the circle. So you can see some of the circles on the background are from the halves, some are from the quarter thin cuts, some are from the wholes. You can see the patterns that were stamped on some of them. You can see the diamonds from the diamond cuts with patterns stamped on them, and it was absolutely fun. Here's another one of those diamonds with the diamond patterns on it, and we created some of our own backgrounds by stamping those patterns on strips of cardstock. You can see that on this page as well. There are some of the throwaway pieces just to make interesting embellishments on the side. Here's some of the stamping on some of the cut pieces here. Here's some splattering and different techniques that they use throughout. And here is the second page of that workshop. Again, quite the detail, but it made it so easy to be able to use those circle thin cuts to make quadrants, you know, to make quarters, to make and different, so you have offset these circles different. You could use the halves with the quarters, you can use all quarters, you can use stamping anywhere you want to on any of those regular cardstocks or patterns to make patterns. We used a little bit of sponging, so we just did a little bit of inking on some of those to add interest and dimension. We did a little bit of tearing. We did a little bit of journaling on the edges to make a darling layout. So there wasn't a ton left over after completing the original layouts, but there was enough to create a bonus layout, and I call, oh, goodness gracious, I'm going crazy there. Why didn't you guys tell me? All right, so this one, goodness, what is happening here? Did I start to lean? I'm like the leaning tower here. Nothing like live. So sorry, everyone, taking you on a trip, a crazy one, making you sick. So this is the bonus layout called You Matter. So you can see that I took all of those original thin cut ideas, the diamonds, the inking on some of the patterns, the quadrants, the halves, and the quarters. And all I did is add a few Cricut cut pieces to it. And then I took the throwaway pieces. They look to me like petals, and they are actually the throwaway pieces in the diamond thin cuts right here. So you can see the diamond thin cut. When you're cutting out the diamond, you end up with these cute petal looking pieces, and they create the most cute daisies. And then you could stamp your circles with the pattern. So I love, love, love that. And I love that this very, very simple 2-page bonus layout actually has 9 photo opportunities. So we have 3-inch circle photos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and 3 4x6 verticals. So 9 photo opportunities on one layout, simply created with the leftovers from circles and patterns. And that, my friends, we did it. Despite getting lopsided a few places along the way, that is 5 elevations, 5 different projects from National Scrapbooking Day with 5 different elevation guides and 3 different elevation envelopes. I think it was 3. I can't remember now. So that is fun. I hope you enjoyed those tips and those elevations, and very simple but effective elevations. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.